Hello, this is National Chess Master Rats at chess.com to continue my video series on the correspondence team match played between my video lessons group and the team CARPE DIEM. This was played on board 202 at 210. Our man is Doc Nick 01. We have a rating advantage of mid 1500s versus high 1300s. Now, one thing I've been doing in the match so far is presenting both games where our team member gets 1.5 or 2 points. What I also told the team was, if you win one game and lose one game, I will make a video of your win if we win the match. Well, we've now clinched a victory in the match. Yesterday when I started collecting these games, we had 213.5 points, and 210.5 was all it took because it's a 210 board match. So I've got a number of games that have already completed where our player won one and lost one. Now, technically, I guess our team could maybe benefit more from a video of the game they lost, but the incentive was to get you to win, and that was what I promised videos for. So in the case where there's one game, know that our player lost his other game, and hopefully he can figure out why he lost that game and take preventative maintenance in the future. And this game, I'm sorry, Doc Nick should have lost, okay, but he's going to win it. We'll get to the reasons why in just a moment. Okay, here we're in the main line of the Joko piano, and people that prepare these lines for tournaments, you can go pretty deep in your preparation, some 15, 20 moves in a lot of cases, and if you know the line, great. You can take advantage of a less prepared opponent. But you see here, this is correspondence chess, so you have a chance to look up the games. And normally what happens is black will play knight f6. That's the main line. And then white plays d4. There's an exchange on d4, and this bishop goes and gives a check. And we start diverging. The main lines would either be knight c3 or bishop d2. We've had a variation or two in this video series with the bishop d2 line. There's an older line that black declines a lot of these complications and plays queen e7, and on d4 retreats the bishop back to d6. And I'm not going to necessarily go into that line, but it seems like that's what black was trying to play, but he goes about it the wrong way. Black picks a very bad line and gives white a clear advantage. We'll see what he does here. And like I said, this is usually done with the queen going to e7, and there's a reason that queen goes to e7, as we will see. After pawn takes, white basically has a clear advantage. What's black going to do? If you don't do anything, you're just going to play down a pawn, so you have to retake it. Let's look at the two ways you can take it. First, let's look at the pawn takes. Now, what white can do is just basically win a pawn by force here. Queen takes check, and black has two legal moves. On king takes, you're going to drop the pawn on f7, and on knight takes, you're going to drop the pawn on e5, and white's up a clear pawn. Okay, so black elects to take with the knight, and then white captures on e5, and we have a very similar situation. Black is going to lose a pawn here if he takes the knight, because white now has bishop takes f7 check. Do that first, and after king up, you have to protect the queen. Bishop g5 check is okay, but it doesn't win the queen. Black has a knight f6, but white can simply come on top with queen takes check and king takes, and white to play, and he's a pawn ahead. Notice it was important to do the check first on f7, because if you take here, you're still going to win a pawn, but you see, you reach the same position, but there's a difference. It's now black to move. In the other position, it was white to move. So bishop takes f7 first is a win, or wins a pawn. So what does black do? Well, black makes it worse on himself. He plays queen h4. And this essentially is going to assure that white's down material. White has his choice of good moves here. He has to be careful. Black does have a mate threat. The simplest and logical way to continue is just knight d3. Okay, this covers the square, and essentially White is ahead a piece. What can black do here? Well, let's take a look. Queen takes check. Okay. Okay, queen e2. Now the queens are getting forced off the board. And now black is down a piece for a pawn with a completely losing game. So what else is there for black to try? You could try knight f6, I suppose. But I think this is the kind of position that white can just safely castle. Let's see, knight g4 might be a nuisance. But might is a pretty strong word. H3 threatens to take the knight, and white has too many defenders off too. Black's just down a piece with a losing game. What black does, or what white does here? He doesn't play knight d3. You find what he did. He played queen f3, and now white has a threat of his own, countering the black threat with his own threat. This is very scholars mate-ish, so to speak. One side seems to be trying the scholars mate, and the other one trying to defend it and do it the same thing himself. Black doesn't have time to take the knight. This check is just going to be deadly here. Now let's see. What can white? But let's see. What can white do next? That's best. Well, if anything, he can castle, and white's up a pawn again, right? The f2 square is covered. There's a check to be had, if you like, and put the king up here and shut this bishop in, then castle. This is a reasonable move, queen f3, but I think knight d3 was a little better. So black plays knight f6, and I think again knight d3 is simple, safe, logical, sound, and white wins. But white gets a little greedy here and takes on f7, and now attacks the queen. But black is able to kind of get out of this in a little way, but it's just not enough. White's getting the upper hand here. Now there's threats on f2 all over again. So he castles, and now black just takes on f7, and going to win 2 pieces for the rook. But he could have been a piece up. You see, they both have the same. No, wait a minute. Let's see. Both have 4 pieces. He won 2 pieces of the rook, but he's already a piece down. So in this case, white, instead of being a piece up, is going to be the exchange up. And the simple move is bishop e3, and white should win this. Okay. If bishop takes, pawn takes with check, and now this knight's a little bit of a nuisance, stopping the knight from coming here, but white wins. Okay, it's just that simple. White's up the exchange. Black does not have any compensation for it. And I don't know. I wasn't there watching the game move by move. I don't know how many games these folks are playing. Whoops, went a little too far back. But white proceeded to throw the entire game away with his next move. He just wasn't paying attention. You have 3 days to make your move, and bishop e3 will prove to be a winner. What does white do? He plays knight a3. Doesn't even see his bishop is loose. Now suddenly, black has 2 pieces for the rook, and black has 4 pieces. White has 3. They have the same number of pawns, but it doesn't matter. 2 pieces are superior to rook, even if the other side has a pawn compensation. And there's really not much to it after this point, because why? Black has a winning game. He's going to force a pass pawn, and it's only a matter of time for that to happen. Here, almost hangs his knight out to dry. Doesn't have a retreat, so he covers his bases there. Now that clears the square for the knight. Now the knight's able to come back, but it's just not enough. White just doesn't have enough here. And just go on. And then just simple liquidation of that knight is fine. Eventually, black is going to force the pass d pawn. There's nothing white can do to stop it. And when that happens, that pawn is a pass pawn, and it's going to promote. Now here, he could have played c5, get ready for d4. I don't know exactly why he played c6, but he's just busy trying to chase that rook. But once he gets on that path to get a pass pawn, and he will, the game is over quickly. And now, let's see, they're just kind of like maneuvering a little bit. Black's holding off, getting his pass pawn running. But here, a little trick: white can't take back, or he'll lose. No, pawn takes is met by king takes h4. The g pawn was overworked. So, but black didn't really need to take that pawn, but fine, it was free. And still hasn't got his d pawn off and running yet. I'm not sure why he's holding back on pushing c5. But here white helps out, matters. Although he was going to lose the pawn otherwise, and it's off and running, and that just drops the rook, as we will see. And now the rook is lost, and black is going to win this. So it should have been a white victory. Okay, what could have gone 2-0? We know he won the other game. I don't know what happened there. I didn't look at it. If you have a link to the team match, it's right here in the YouTube channel. You can see what both sides did wrong there on your own. But this is clearly a case where djmaric, the underdog, could have pulled a nice upset on board 202, but he didn't. Anyway, these are some of the reasons why you can do well at correspondence chess. People don't take their time and work out the best moves. And if you do, you can win your games. And like I say in my program, win the games you should win. Your rating goes up, and you start getting to play stronger opponents, and therefore your strength will rise. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.